It's just the pheromones. They're all MoneHeads. Oh, the moans! I'm hopped up on moans. I'm a MoneHead. If only we had a nice space tree to dump all these reactor byproducts on. Hey, there's one.
Yeah, that was our secret space tree, and your ship seemed to urinate on it. I'm gonna have to ask you to pull over.
It's green. This is episode 4 of Lower Decks season 4. 4 for 4. Is this episode going to get a 4 out of 10? Is it going to get a 5? Is it going to go above that? Who knows? This episode, for me, was a bit of a snoozer. And it wasn't much of a laugher either. But I did get a smirk out of it. So we'll call it a smirker. Something borrowed. Something green. I guess refers to some kind of marriage tradition. When you get married, you take something with you that's borrowed, something old, something new, something like that. I don't know, I've never been married, but if I ever do get married, I'm going to make sure to take something green. This is something borrowed, something green. Let's see what's going on with this here little episode. We've seen the Romulans, we've seen the Klingons get destroyed by that mysterious big bad ship, the overarching enemy for this season, perhaps. What is it? Is it from the future? Is it secretly from the Federation? I have no idea. But it's very scary. The way it attacks, the way it leaves you no way to escape, no way to survive. Very frightening. It attacks you in a strange manner. It flips up like this. Anytime something does like that, something like that disturbs the norm for me of geometry in some way, gets the mind, jogging. It gets the noggin jogging, and it makes me think, and it gets me excited. And it does get me excited here. Last week, we didn't have the teaser. That's the section that's before the intro. We just went straight to the intro. But this episode, we're having that come back. We're having the teaser, reminding you that there's something going on in the background of the plot of this whole season. What is that ship? What's it doing? What's going to happen when it gets to the Cerritos? Next week is episode 5. That's the middle of the season. Maybe that's when we get the fateful encounter between the Cerritos and this ship. Who knows? But this time it destroys the Orions. Fitting, because this episode is Orion-centric, which is cool. I'm liking the Orion representation. We're getting it in Strange New Worlds, and it's back here in Lower Decks. I'm liking it. We're adding to the canon, and we're not ruining anything. Big pluses. This episode has an A-plot, and blink and you'll miss it, but it also has a B-plot that we'll get into. This episode left a little bit for me to desire, honestly. I see where it's coming from. I like the sentiment. I like the fact that we're getting a Tendi episode, but I think we could have did a little more. I don't want to harsh on it too much for what it could have been, but just in reviewing what we got, just to be upfront with you, for me was an episode that wasn't super funny, wasn't super interesting, and didn't really say a whole lot. So let's get down into the meat and potatoes of this episode, and we'll get the broad strokes down first. Tendi gets invited back to her homeworld, the Orion homeworld, for like a family gathering of sorts, a marriage. We've seen this before in Star Trek, and maybe you've seen it before in your own life as well. No one wants to get that call from home where they have to go to some family function. It's never fun, and it's usually not that fun in Star Trek either, to be honest. Why is it always a marriage, right? With Spock, it was a marriage. Why are we seeing so many alien marriages here? Like, we got to see a Klingon marriage before, and all the mythology around a Beta Z style marriage. Let's see that one. If you know, you know. Why is it always marriage? It could come up with something original, something unique. Dear Tendi, you've been selected for jury duty on Orion. Just something. But it's marriage again. Oh well. So, with the recent ship that was destroyed, that belonged to the Orions, it would be cool if you went to Orion just as a show of, goodwill. according to the captain. So the captain knows about this ship that was destroyed. The Orion ship, it's in keeping with what we've seen before for Orions, but it doesn't really break the bank technologically. Why do alien ships always get to stagnate? The Klingon ships basically always look the same, but Starfleet ships get to flourish, and you get so many different types. A wish list item for me for a future Star Trek series would be maybe to evolve all the alien ships. All the non-Starfleet ships, I should say. I guess we're all kind of aliens here. I want to see maybe what happened between TOS and TNG with the Romulans happened to everybody else. Now that's a design evolution, to go from the Romulan bird of prey, as it was called, to the D'Deridex, or Warbird. Let's get some of that going. This Orion ship didn't look very cool. I guess I'm glad it's destroyed, but it sucks that they all had to die to that strange alien vessel, but Tendi has to go back to her home world. You know, you should attend this wedding. Your sister, I guess, is getting married to whoever on Orion, yada yada yada, Erica. And I have to wonder if this name was chosen just to be funny. It's the name Erica with "duh" in front of it. Another one of these letter apostrophe names that get to simulate what it must be like to have an aneurysm. Erica, Vanna, Lynn, Paul. I have no idea. But you have to wonder if they're having fun with it, these names. Like, maybe I'm just going to have to start calling myself Mark. Okay, anyway. Our A-plot continues along on its merry way. We take our shuttlecraft, Mariner, T'Lyn, and Tendi, triple threat, down on Orion. What a great team! Surely nothing insane is going to happen here. We brought T'Lyn along. Like, we have our chaperone, T'Lyn, so maybe we're not going to get up to too much nonsense. Wrong. We meet Tendi's family, and starts what honestly to me is the most interesting facet of this episode. The fact that Tendi is wealthy, powerful, special, but has to pretend she's not. To me, that's what compelled me, plot-wise. The intrigue and the mythos around that had me invested. Sadly, the episode doesn't really revolve around it and doesn't resolve itself using those predetermined concepts. The idea that Tendi is powerful, but she has to act like she's not. I'm just one of you guys. I'm one of the lower deckers. Yes, but let's get this other side of Tendi and just play it up more. I just felt like when the episode devolved into finding the Erica, and that was it, it just kind of felt like we left this behind. I was invested in this idea that Tendi has a second side to her, like a secret Tendi. Oh, I'm this rich and powerful mistress, winter constellation, whatever, prime, what have you, various Orion terms. But also, I'm just a Tendi, you know. And when those two concepts were clashing, the episode was really good, and I was invested. The further we got away from it, the more I kind of just checked out and, frankly, almost fell asleep. But it's a nice little detour, you know. I guess I can't complain too hard if it's a fun detour. You know what? It's anodyne, we'll call it. It's anodyne, but anesthetic, in a way. We have to find Erica. Listen, bridal kidnappings. She's been kidnapped, by the way. Bridal kidnappings are the norm on Orion, which is funny. But normally it doesn't happen at this point in time, so we think there's something up. Something's a bit askew. So can you actually find Erica? And by the way, I suppose this is Tendi's mom. Her dad has if it is her dad, has a really cool outfit. I thought he looks freaking sick. His outfit he had on, it was so cool. Tendi should have got that thing to wear. Orions always tell the truth. No, we don't, he says. Think about that one. We have to go see Madam G at the Slit Throat. Mariner says she appreciates getting straight to the point and just calling your bear Slit Throat. Everyone is amazed by Tendi's presence. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I bow to you, Tendi. Blah, blah, blah. Tendi, you're so incredible. I'm not that incredible. I'm just Tendi. I'm just chicken Tendi. Chicken tender, don't worry. I'm not that great. Wrong. Tendi was trained to be a syndicate assassin. We all knew Tendi was a little bit of a pirate. Hey, eye patch. I'm a pirate. But I'm Tendi. We all knew it. An open secret, I guess you could say. But now we're seeing it come to fruition. She beats Madam G at this strange kind of, I think I've seen this before somewhere. I can't remember where. Some type of a game where you need to drink and then press a button to protect your hand from a bug on a table. So it's kind of like a drinking game. You have to out-drink somebody. She beats Madam G, and Madam G tells her that Noël, Erica's ex, probably kidnapped her. Which, if it's him, this could be dangerous, according to Davana, which is Tendi, the other name. We go to the secret hump dungeon, as Mariner calls it. I think we have one of these in New Seattle. I'll have to go sometime. And they're all hopped up on the Mones, you see. That's how the Orion girls managed to trick our captains on multiple occasions. It's the pheromones. They're all MoneHeads. Oh, the Mones! I'm hopped up on Mones. I'm a MoneHead. So these Orion men are addicted to the pheromones of the females. It begs the question, why have we not just devised synthetic pheromones that we can just kind of take at our leisure? I don't know why we don't have that on Orion, but in this system, the Orion females, who I guess, apart from Tendi, use these pheromones or create these pheromones, command a lot of control in the society. So the men are trapped in these like bird cages. It's all very amusing, and Noël is there, of course. Noël, what are you doing here? And Tendi sprays her little concoction that she had mixed up that dissipates or counteracts the effects of the pheromones. Everyone realizes that we're trapped in a pheromone dungeon again. Dang it. The laughs from this episode come after the fact. I'm laughing at it thinking about it, but I didn't laugh at all watching it. Noël says that Erica is probably at the Starship Graveyard, which is where I'd be, frankly, just to be around my family who would never betray me, the dead starships, where I belong. Tendi and Erica used to play there all the time. So we go there, and not without Mariner getting stabbed multiple times. Mariner gets stabbed 3 times in the same spot in this episode. Stab me once, shame on me. Stab me twice, shame on you. Stab me 3 times, shame on both of us. More like me laugh at it 3 times, shame on both of us. Shame on you for doing it 3 times. Shame on me for laughing at it for the 3rd time. And it wasn't really a laugh. It was like a smirk, a ha, a tee-hee. Wasn't that funny. But it was interesting seeing Mariner's expression that I may have to get a screenshot of for my own purposes. We end up in the Starship Graveyard. Tendi basically comes out with the answer to the secret that everyone knew. I'm really an assassin, blah, blah, blah. Look at these drawings on this ship. Me and the Erica used to come here and pretend that we were space explorers, and this is like it took me a while to piece together what the ship was, but the ship they steal from the Starship Graveyard, it's like, it's a Raven type, meaning it doesn't have an official class, it's just a type. I think it was the U.S.S. Raven. It's kind of like a big shuttle, basically, what it amounts to. So the Raven type vessel, very bland, and seems to break with Gene Roddenberry and Andrew Probert's idea behind nacelle design, that they should have at least 50% line of sight between each other. The line of sight between the nacelles in this ship is crew quarters, I believe, or engineering. I have no idea how this works. Maybe it's got channels in the middle that cause them to have line of sight with each other. I know these exist in the Starfleet forever, but I never liked it. I always thought nacelles should have line of sight with each other, at least 50%, according to what they said. But that's neither here nor there. The point of the episode here is that Erica kidnapped herself. She was not kidnapped by Noël or anyone else. Big surprise, she kidnapped herself. Yawn. Groan zone. Obviously that's what happened. Anyone could have figured this out. She kidnapped herself to get Tendi to come to her wedding because she knew Tendi wouldn't come otherwise. Oh, Tendi, you Starfleeters are all the same. You never would have bothered. Oh, you could have phoned me once in a while. Basic stuff here. It's not that compelling. It's not that interesting. The life that could have been, the path not taken. We've seen it 1,000 times in Star Trek even. De'Erica has to be prime. She has to go through with the wedding, through with the ceremony stuff, do all the official Orion things in Tendi's stead because Tendi selfishly went off to Starfleet. You see, the idea here is that you can choose your family, right? Tendi's original Orion family, she didn't want that. She wanted the Starfleet family. She chose a different family, but didn't think that she didn't think to ask if De'Erica really wanted that, because De'Erica had to take over for Tendi's spot, essentially. She had to become Tendi, she had to become the new Tendi for her family, essentially, and that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, right? I can see why she would be upset, and they do get into a fight, and they're totally in pirate mode, swashbuckling, swinging around on the chandelier, throwing knives. It's all very cool. But it would have been cooler if this was more of an in-depth exploration of Orion. Maybe I'm asking for too much from, a comedy show. Am I asking too much? Am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? No, it's the kids who are wrong. It's not me. But we make up, and we realize that, I'm sorry to Erica. I should have done blah blah blah. We have just enough time to make it to the wedding till Lynn throws away her report on Orion culture. Why? I don't know. But Tendi keeps saying, "Oh, can you leave out the parts with the stabbing and all that?" Oh, there seems to be a malfunction with this pad. Whoop. I can't very well take reports on Orion from someone who's not consenting. I don't know. I think you could maybe argue that everything that Tendi did in this episode was self-defense, or not. Like, I've seen Starfleet people do crazier stuff than this. I don't know, but it was an interesting moment seeing T'Lyn throw out the pad. An interesting way to capstone this episode off. A moment of genuine connection, beyond just the Vulcan coldness, if you will. T'Lyn throws away her pad. We get to that wedding, and doesn't he look radiant? And everything's solved. And we don't get to really spend a lot of time at this place, at her, on her, like, what is it, house, mansion or something, castle. I would have liked a little bit more exploration of Tendi's, the lives of the rich and famous on Orion. What's going on with that, right? But we just kind of went to seedy underbelly pirate bar land, and I've been there before. It felt like I spent forever there in Picard season 3 on that stupid Metalis planet. I didn't want to see any more of it. I was frankly kind of done with it. But we get back to the ship, we wrap it up Star Trek style. Ha ha ha. We're all back together again. The lower deckers. Wink wink. That's a Star Trek. So a fun ending. I like when we wrap it up with a good laugh together as family. That's always a fun ending for me. There's that ending, and then there's the mysterious looking out the window downer ending. You ever see that one? Like, the episode ends on a weird note where it suggests that something really bad's happening, but we can't do anything about it. And our characters look out the window at the stars going by. And the episode just silently ends. To get one of those in Lower Decks. But we got the happy-go-lucky fun TOS kind of ribbing each other kind of ending, That's always fun. But our B-plot wasn't so much fun, and it even bordered on cringe for me, which is not a good territory to be in. Boimler and Rutherford are like an old married couple. Who's gonna miss the bonsai tree, which is just like a little plant on the desk, and it doesn't matter who waters it. It's nothing. But I guess they take great pride in their bonsai misting, because they get into a fight over this bottle. Rutherford mists. I almost called Boimler Bonsler. I almost merged Boimler and Bonsai to create Bonsler in my brain. I just almost did that. Anyway, they're completing each other's sentences, and they're also fighting with each other. Did we need a plot about that? I could have used maybe an intriguing plot that was more about the alien who was there, because a Chalnoth alien, who I believe we last saw this type of alien in TNG, is fighting with the Cerritos crew over who gets to scan this nebula. The Federation scannings, they're too nuanced and detailed. We're just kind of taking our argument face value, playing it straight, turning it up to 11, lower deck style, and getting the humor out of the silliness of the thing. Like, we're fighting over who gets to scan a nebula, and their chief complaint is that Starfleet is too thorough. That's the kind of argument you want to have, right? That's the problem I want. I want someone to say I'm too thorough. That's a good thing. Kokor, which I believe his name is our quote-unquote antagonist for the B-plot. Maybe Mariner should have been there. Maybe Mariner would have got up to some antics with this alien. However, Mariner is with the Divana dinner dance disaster thing, whatever Mariner called it at the end of the episode. We did hint at this, I believe, in the last episode, that Mariner said, I want to hear more about the stabby sword marriage thing. Right? Remember that from last episode? I think this is what they were talking about. In order to get over their argument about who gets to water this plant, they replay a holodeck program of Time's Arrow, the episode with Mark Twain, except they both end up being Mark Twain. Oh, we can't have twin Twains. I do believe I was meant to be Mark Twain, and you were meant to be someone else. Well, anyway, the argument in the vein and in the voice of Mark Twain somehow automatically solves the argument, and they come to an agreement on who should be watering this plant. I'll water it every second day. You can do it on every the other day, whatever. It doesn't matter. But what it comes to is that in order to solve the argument between Kokor and the Cerritos crew, we take Kokor into the holodeck program. This goes about as poorly as you imagine it would, as the captain and Kokor are both pretending to be Mark Twain. And it's just like, it's not funny, and it insists upon itself, and it's a bridge too far. Kokor ends up eating the bonsai tree, and I guess somehow, because he ate the bonsai tree, we're all okay because the tree tasted good or something. I could barely follow it. I watched it 3 times and I could hardly understand it. It's so irreverent that it's bordering on awesome, but bordering on it is often worse than missing it entirely, because you get into kind of like the cringe valley, right? It's a little bit meta, but follow me on this. It's just missing the mark on the laughs here, and it's also missing the mark on being interesting. The B plot is not interesting. It's not saying anything really. It's not funny. It doesn't present any interesting visuals particularly. The only thing we really get out of it is that we get to replay the episode of TNG Time's Arrow, essentially, by being Mark Twain in the holodeck. That's all we're really getting out of it, which is kind of sad. Part of me thinks, in my mind's eye, there's a version of this episode where Tendi gets to do something more interesting on Orion, and maybe Mariner is part of the B plot, and they mess something up with this alien, and they have to fix it in the same vein that only Tendi and T'Lyn on Orion solve their problem, and how they kind of like reflect each other. I can see this episode in my mind, but it's not the one we got. All we had to do was just be honest with each other, apparently, at the end. And yeah, let's just be honest about our feelings. Where did this come from? I have no idea. How did this relate to the plot? a kind of unfounded way of wrapping things up at the very end that just kind of came out of nowhere. Again, this was a rewinder for me. I rewound it multiple times, trying to see where this line came from, how this made sense. They're arguing, Boimler and Rutherford, about what type of painting of the Enterprise D to hang up in their quarters. I'm done with this argument. I'm done with the plot line about them fighting over the quarters thing. I hope this is the last time we see it. It's only going to get less funny from here on out. Are we going to have an oil painting or a water or an acrylic, whatever? And they're arguing about it while pretending to be Mozart, I believe, in the holodeck. Maybe that'll solve their problems. I don't know. We chose to end the episode on it, though. So, and what you choose to end the episode on usually reflects what was believed by the creators to be the touchstone of the episode, which everything revolved around. So it was an odd choice to end it with Mozart. I have no idea. Maybe I'm too stupid to realize the hidden depths of this episode, the subtext. But for me, it was a bit of a snoozer. That was something green, something borrowed. Tendi's green, and what was borrowed? I don't know. Musically, you got to hear a moment of Mozart at the last second, I think, if I could hear it correctly. All the action on the Orion homeworld presented no interesting musical motifs to me. By now, I would expect an interesting motif, short melody to go along with the alien ship that's threatening us overall in this season, so I could kind of anticipate it, but I'm not really getting it. Plot-wise, it's nothing we haven't seen before. Oh, I need to go to my home planet to do this marriage stuff. Like, why is that like everything with alien cultures? It's something to do with their marriage. How about we get an alien to go to Earth for some kind of Earth marriage thing? That'd be cool. Like I said, something more interesting than marriage on the Orion world would have been preferable. So plot-wise, we're losing on the A plot, and we're severely losing on the B plot. With the A plot having some brief moments of intrigue, mythos, lore, and emotion for me. I couldn't help but smile when I saw Tendi's drawings etched into the derelict ship at the Starship Graveyard. I couldn't help but smile. Thematically, you know, it's just kind of lukewarm, nothing new. We're just kind of treading water here. Can you choose your family? Well, evidently you can have it both ways, because Tendi can be in Starfleet and then also show up on her homeworld to be at this marriage to comfort Erica. I guess you can have your cake and eat it too. What are the compromises? What is this really saying? What does this hook into our own experiences? Maybe you've experienced this in your life. I chose a different family than the family that I had at birth. You know, maybe my future was different than the future that my original family had intended for me. So maybe this resonates with you. Maybe you really are invested in the Tendi storyline, and you got a Tendi episode with a cool Tendi victory that you really loved, and that's going to really play well for you. But thematically, it doesn't feel fresh. It doesn't feel new. But it just kind of, you know, bounces the ball back out of its court. You know, if you can accept that. Visually, I will say, when we get down to the planet, especially when we get to that bar slit throat, the animation quality takes a sharp upwards turn. Like, it looks really cool. Like, I noticed the characters in this bar were animating like very fluid. They seem very alive past this point, past the events including and past the events at the slit throat bar. The characters felt very kinetic. They felt fluid. They felt elastic. They felt like they were living and breathing. And I noticed this on repeat viewings as well, that this episode, it feels, our characters feel organic in the way that they move. Maybe you'll notice this if you go back and watch for it and look for it, especially at this bar area. So I will praise this episode just visually. Would have been cool to see some better ships. The Orion ship, Not for me. I would have liked something a little bit more out there, maybe to see at this point in timeline of Star Trek. But we got what we got. And what we got here, frankly, is a 4.5 out of 10. It's not that bad. I can see how some people who were invested in certain elements with Tendi, really interested in seeing Orion, the Orion culture up close for the first time, bringing that into canon, how they could really get a lot out of this. But I think it could have been a lot better, and what we got ended up being boring, lukewarm, a bit of a snoozer, as I said originally. Sorry to say. This is my least favorite episode so far, but as I liked the episode with in the Cradle of Vexilon, I really like that one. I know that wasn't for everyone. This episode, I don't really love it. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's for everyone. And maybe I'm just the outlier. Maybe I'm the weird one. I don't know. It was good to see a Tendi-centric episode. Here's hoping for something more. When episode 5 comes along, maybe we're going to get the juicy details on that alien ship, eh? I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'll see you when next time I see you. Goodbye.